Property management isn't just rent collection, it's relationship, systems, and execution. Behind every good property is a strong network. And today we're breaking down what actually makes properties perform. All right, welcome back to another episode of Legacy Insiders. How was the week for you?
It was really good, really busy. An early spring means an early spring market. So the real estate hat kept me on my toes. And then just working with some of our owners to get some details squared away. I mean, we've normally April and May are our busy months for filling, but this year it's been March. So just making sure that we're getting things done, units turned. But all in all, it's good, and a little basketball to watch makes it a little more fun too.
Yeah, first time I played the digital one, I was in first place until Houston lost last night. So there goes my bracket probably.
How's your week been? We
I've
had
actually been struggling pretty bad with a brain fog.
2 days of standing on concrete, talking to strangers straight at our home show. We'll put a little fatigue in there.
Plus the 5 consecutive weeks of 5 days at the gym. I was pretty proud of that. Lifting
Nice.
very heavy. So
Well, here we are though. Made it. I mean, I know there's still more work to be done, but that's just what happens when you work a 7 day a week job.
we had the home show. We had a booth up this weekend.
Yep.
I thought that went pretty good.
Yeah, it looked like it was definitely quality over quantity. We didn't have elbow to elbow people, but the people who were there had the time to talk. They can actually have conversations. They didn't steal everything off the top of the table and run.
Yeah. And I think, I'm actually on the board for that, actually part of the planning of that. But I think we get a lot of vendors who want to go there and leave with sales and they judge it on that. And I think you got to look at it through kind of a different lens where you're getting that brand recognition, right? So
Oh yeah.
if you were to go to some foreign city and they had Tommy's Chicken or Chick-fil-A, which one are you probably going to pull into? Probably Chick-fil-A, just because you're more familiar with it, right? You're more comfort with that. I always like doing these events and getting the Legacy booth out there and just, do they need property management right now? No, but maybe they, you know, cross a path to someone who does, and we're kind of top of mind because they start building that brand recognition, right?
Yeah. Well, that is exactly it. I mean, it'd be wonderful if we picked up a new client, but the fact is we get to be there amongst a lot of friends, a lot of people we already know. So some of our current clients, but a lot of friends of ours, just different people in the different trades that we work with. So it's nice to see them out there, and then hey, here's whatever, a little token of our appreciation as a gift to just be nice and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think both of us do quite a bit of networking, which is great, especially in a community like ours where it is, I don't want to say all word of mouth, but it is a little more, who you know.
Yeah.
And um, I think that's really cool that we both get out and do quite a bit. And I think that's kind of the episode we want to talk about today is just being part of the community and building the networks. And the old saying, your network is your net worth. But
Yep. 100%.
there was another saying I thought was pretty cool. It's the more hands you shake, the more money you can make. So it's like, the more people you meet, the more opportunity you have to solve problems for the people. And when you solve problems for people, that's when you can make money. And obviously, money isn't our goal. That's the result. But this definitely gets us in front of people.
Oh yeah. Yep. And just you can have those conversations because on the sales iceberg, I mean, you only see the tip. That's the 10% that are actually ready to buy your products today. Then you got the other 90% of which you can't even see 70 of them, 70%. But then there's that 20% that might be warming up a little bit and getting ready to make a decision. So, I mean, you're always sowing those seeds of, we're here, let us know. And then, of course, doing things like this. I mean, it's
Yeah.
reaching
Yeah, and
out.
shout out to Lovely, our marketing and growth strategist on the team. She's doing an awesome job. I think you got several people that came up and complimented on some of the things we're doing for the community and the social media and for legacy and property management.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful to hear that and see that. I mean, we still aren't a big place. Maybe 90,000 people if you combine our two cities and rural, and the fact that we're getting through the noise is definitely cool.
Yeah.
So looking forward to more of that.
Yes, yes. So property management isn't just rent collection, it's relationship, systems, and execution. Behind every good property is a strong network. And today we're breaking down what actually makes properties perform.
Most owners think that property management is simple, you know, collect rent, pay the bills, and then send an owner's report. But there are so many moving parts behind the scene. Really, having that good network is what differentiates the solo guys who can only take on so much, and then the elite who are actually able to continue growing and they don't end up being fully reactive. So, because it's, you know, one man can only go so far, one person can only go so far. It's the who's around us that really make a difference.
Yeah, I follow quite a few Facebook groups on property management in our community. I don't engage with the negativity, but I do want to. It's not that I want to be a part of the negativity. I just want to see what's being talked about, so I'm aware of it, to make sure that we're making those corrections. But one of the comments someone made was someone was asking for a property management company, and someone commented on there and said, um, "You don't need property management companies; they're a waste of money, and all they do is make money off you," something like that. And all I could think of was, I mean, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, we're out here and we're solving problems all day long.
Yep.
We're solving the work orders, we're solving the leasing, we're walking around, we're seeing the things, we're in it on the day to day. Whereas if you're kind of a solo person, it's not that you're not doing that, but you're just not exposed to the amount of reps
Yep.
that we get exposed to. So for us, it's important to build those networks and have that network of trusted quality people. So when something happens, we do have someone that we can count on. And typically we're put kind of not like VIP status, but we're put top of mind because of the quantity of work that we're giving these vendors too. So it is a cool addition to have some of that network with property management.
Yeah, no, and over the years I've worked with many great companies. Some, didn't want to work that hard and they went their own way. And some have loved the fact that they know 3 out of the 5 working days we'll probably be calling them for something. So it creates some cool opportunities. Those that embrace it can scale it. I mean, there's just different parts that come with it, but it's a mutual success. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure we'll hit this later, but it does help having that where like we benefit them with basically their marketing brand. We set them up. They show up, do what we expect, and ask, and they knock it out of the park. And then the tenant's happy. That's the first line. We're happy. Second line, of course. Then our owner, who ultimately gets paid based on our success and efficiency, is happy. So it's really cool to have the full system when it works well. Because it's people, so we always have to deal with what we get. I mean, in a sense, like it's not always going to be sunshine. A lot of times there's water dripping from ceilings and toilets that rock and just all the fun that comes with owning real property.
Yeah. One of the concepts that I thought was really cool, and I can't wait till we get to the scale that we want to be at, but this was down in one of our coaching groups where the guy had actually set up like a nonprofit. And basically how he did that was he had so much work for his vendors that he actually charged them 10% of their total bill for the quarter, and they had to actually donate money into it. So it was a tax win for them.
Yep.
And then he called it their no marketing, because now they have enough. They don't have to go spend that money on marketing because they have the workflow to do that. And then what he did with that charity, what he did with that was he gave back to the community.
Oh yeah.
So he would go set up and give
turkeys and yep.
So I just thought that was a cool concept, and that's just one way to give back to the community at scale when you get into that more.
Yeah, his company is so large and successful. It was just amazing that he was sitting next to us, learning beside us, even though he's already at a huge amount, 2 different states, and one very, very tough state for property management. So kudos to him, and that was fun.
Yeah, I actually saw him. They were just at a NARPM thing.
Really?
Speaking of NARPM, and he was on the panel, him and Steve, and I think there was 4 or 5 other people up there, but big Second Nature logo in the background. So it was definitely a huge property manager event that he got to be part of a panel for.
Well, that's, yeah. I mean, part of being in the community, and I don't even know if we cover this later, but it's just the fact that being around these guys who are from different places but are, years ahead, so successful. I mean, what Isaac Newton said, he grew so fast because he stood on the shoulders of giants, and it's no different. I mean, I look at where we were the first time we went to our first training with Steve Rosenberg. I literally felt like I was dragging my knuckles for the last 10 years prior. Like, this is what property management could be. I only knew what I knew from my own experiences, from working with local companies. And then it's just like, oh, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, it was this amazing just experience of like, wow, there's so much more we can do that's possible. And, AI is only really coming to its own halfway through our journey at this point. So it's, even that's accelerating at its own pace. So, and even with the AI part, it's only a tool to help efficiency. No matter what, it's still the people we interact with. Because at the end of the day, if a phone call comes in and it's robotic voice, please do whatever. I'm going back to bed. But if it's, hey, Casey, it's Bill. I need you. I'm not at the cop shop. Like, it's going to be a different response, a little different thing.
It was definitely awesome to see that. And they definitely created a monster with these North Dakota boys, that's for sure. Because you can't see whatever the saying is, you can't see the picture from inside, or you can't see the frame when you're the picture, or whatever it is, and the label of the bottle when you're in the bottle.
Oh, yes, you can't read the label while you're in the bottle.
Yeah, so it's like we're in this culture. It's like what we see every day, and it's not that the bigger cities are right or we're wrong or one's better or one's worse. It's not that point. It's just this is what we're exposed to, and our community, our culture kind of sets the bar unknowingly, right? So like if no one else is doing these crazy things or no one else is doing these amazing things, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're still in the game, right? No one's actually leveling up and setting the bar. And it's cool to see what it could be, like you said.
Well, and what's kind of cool about that, I mean, with that being our goal, yet again, people simplify what we do as property management, but reality is like, we're not just signing leases. We're not just, collecting rent. Like, we're following legal. We have to watch and follow all the laws. So like, I'm involved at our state legislature. I've testified for different bills just to help protect both sides of that equation, tenants and owners. We have to make strategic decisions because, money is a finite thing. So sometimes it's, okay, we know we need to tackle these 3 things on your property, but we have to pick the order. We have to strategize, like, where can we set this up so that it can happen? And then even just tenant quality control. Yet again, when we set the expectation, some of the natural things that we ask, even how we handle our showings, it kind of self weeds out the people who won't be compliant. So there's a lot that goes on more than just the paperwork or the bill filing. Like, it takes a village, as they say.
Yeah. What property management really is, it's not just collecting rent. It's not fixing things. It's coordinating people. It's solving problems fast and preventing issues before they happen, which I think we're getting better at. We still got a little ways to go with the preventing, but just being aware of that and knowing that that is the end goal, I think changes things. We're really managing outcomes, not just tasks.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of these companies get trapped and bottled into just being reactive and just doing it. And that's where I see a different picture. It's like, yeah, that's all good to respond to the emails, respond to everything, react, right? It's all good to react to all these things. But to me, to really level up, it's being the proactive approach and being able to foresee those things and having responsive plan instead of a reactive plan.
It all is in the process of managing properties because there's just so many different people that come to play. Like I'm working with a lender right now for a property because they would like to refinance, but they are monitoring how many units are vacant, how many units are rent ready, what's going on. So the bank wants to know. And then on other times we have to work with inspectors. So if someone's getting a voucher or anything like that, so we need to be aware, respect that. Fire inspections, staying on top of those, and then even working with the city officials. I mean, there's just so many different things that different people in the community that we're working with just to stay compliant, stay ahead of changes. Like one of the big ones that the federal government said is you have to have 10-year lithium ion batteries in your smoke detectors if they're receiving any form of government assistance. So they didn't really do anything. I didn't think I saw anything locally published, but I saw it on a national magazine that we follow. It was like, this law passed, guys. Like all the units that get that, we need to go through and swap out the batteries because even a local fire chief was saying that the most preventable death is a fire death.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, that battery's chirping. They just take the battery out, forget about it. So, they changed the rules for that. But
yeah, Stacy was one of our feature presentations at the last BNI meeting, and she did this whole spiel on fire, and it was like absolutely insane. Even just a closed door in 90 seconds, it's 1,000 degrees difference. So if there was a fire outside of this door, it would be over 1,000 degrees within 90 seconds. And in here would be 100 degrees. So It's like a 900 degree difference within 90 seconds. And just, there was a fire in a kitchen. This couple, they were in Bismarck. They were going to run over to Mandan for something, and they had made some food. They were going to let it chill on the stovetop, and the dogs jumped up, and it was the face display.
Oh, yep.
So the dogs jumped up to try to get at the food and turn the stove on, and then basically started a kitchen fire. Well, there was this closet right inside the kitchen, and when it was all said and done, when they were, the smoke had all dissipated, they went and opened that pantry door, which the front of it was all like, and it's just a hollow core, whatever, but they opened up the door and the inside looked like there was not even a fire. So, but just to show you that, how, going back to that smoke detector thing, how quick and stuff even on like multifamilies, to bring up some of your points, like, there's boiler inspections, there's the sprinkler system inspections, there's the camera inspections, there's the underground parking, the CO2 fan sensor inspections. So it's like, it just starts to add up. And like you said, that is a different vendor for each one of those that you have to coordinate with and get in there and get reports, get them submitted, get them documented, all the other stuff that goes along with all those.
Yeah. Well, and because of that though, it just helps because one, when you're aware of changes coming, like the law with the smoke detectors came out it came in, I think December, basically right before Black Friday. So we were able to go get a bulk of like a whole box of these smoke detectors on a Black Friday sale and save everyone money, because even what we charge our current owners is less than it costs to buy that same smoke detector today. So like being aware of the change, we were able to get ahead of it, and I think we bought like 70 smokes. So that just saves everyone money, being on top of it, and then even just being kind of more prepared, because when if a law like that changes, all of a sudden everyone has to run around and go get them. Well, there's only 3, 4, 5 hardware stores in town, so guess what went missing real fast.
Well, and even like, self-managing whatever, and I'm not against that. Obviously, if you just have a single place, it's pretty manageable. But if you have multiple ones, being on top of those, I think this is a good segue into our community thing, but like being on top of those and being part of those initiatives is something that helps us. I'm on the North Dakota Apartment Association board. I just started a little bit ago, which is great, but
Thank you for doing that.
And then you're on the board of realtors.
Yep, local board of realtors, and then I'm on our state government affairs
And then
board.
you do. I know we want to do a whole thing on advocacy with the property
Yes.
management, but you're involved with quite a bit of that,
Yep.
and you're up to date with a lot of the upcoming rules, stuff that wants to get passed, and all that.
Yep.
So you're on the front end before they even get passed. So
Yes.
you get to be ahead of the storm before the storm even comes.
Well, luckily for us, being that we kind of tease that North Dakota's 10 years behind, but that also just means that we have 10 years of other states changing laws and watching their rental market, their construction market go crazy. I mean, I will say, lucky enough to have Minnesota next to us, who's very progressive. And so, even between just Minneapolis, St. Paul, how they kind of change rules against each other, and you can watch really closely how one rule change for multifamily affects investors, lending, and yeah. So yeah, we'll save more of that for another episode. But
Yep.
it's just trying to be proactive, because if we can stop a law that we know hurts private property owners, people who are actually providing the housing, we're all for it to an extent, though, because we don't want to just say, oh, the housing provider gets everything. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. The problem is there's a lot to pay attention to. And for the part-timer, the less than 10 unit person, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't really care. I mean, there's happens in real estate too. There's majority of realtors don't know what the board does, don't know what advocacy does, because they're out there writing contracts, showing homes, they're doing the work, but there's not a higher level. So part of our passion in trying to raise the bar is just also protect the industry, because it can go either way. Too much of anything, even a good thing, can be a bad thing. So
yeah, and then one last point, and then we can kind of switch subjects here. But the one that blew my mind was that the lead paint one that kind of creeped up. It was like,
wow,
that was pretty crazy. Was the EPA involved or
yeah,
something like that
yep.
for lead paint in units?
Well, there's actually a second one that I'm curious, because last session our board of nurses passed a law that every home has to have a radon disclosure. So EPA is federal, radon disclosure is now a state law, but they didn't bring up multifamily. And it's like, okay, so I'm still working through this one. Is do we need to proactively have our tenants sign off, or it gets, yeah. Changing any law like that is for the public health. So it makes sense, we're all for it, but there's just so many consequences, good and bad, that aren't covered, because these guys have 1,100 bills and they have 45 days to change the future of the state. So it's a very interesting process. I mean, I've been a part of it now for 4 sessions, and it's different. But at the same time, though, the nice thing is, at that level, I'm seeing faces now, like people I'm familiar with, some realtors I'm familiar with, just city commissioners, if they're testifying on certain things. Like, yet again, coming back to that community aspect, because like we don't just only do community events that are strictly property management or strictly a board. Like, you have a wonderful professional networking group that you're associated with.
But yeah, for that, I want to just wrap this one up.
Okay.
We'll dive into the network in 1 second. But yeah, as far as us having the real world insight, we're in the field every day. We're talking to tenants. We're seeing neighborhoods change in real time.
Yeah.
This gives us early insight on issues. It gives us better understanding of tenant quality, awareness before data catches up. Your property performs based on the strength of the community behind it. One of these things that I see is when you have a property, I don't even want to call them property manager. I want to come up with a different word, like someone who just isn't, not quite up to that standard. Slumlord, maybe. But when you have a slumlord running these properties, it's what you tolerate, right? So I just look at one of our neighborhoods. There's that whole area down there got this rap of the jungle or whatever you want to call it, and to me, it's like those slumlords that allow and tolerate these behaviors and this stuff to happen. You're actually producing areas like that. And I realize there's more to it than that, but I just look at like the little bit of influence that we've had just in the last year on the outskirts of it, of just raising our standard. I think that the whole community down in that space of our block has gotten way better.
Yeah, we just need to get them to stop putting the neighbors' dumpster on fire for real, and it'll go a long ways.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's we run 3 out of the 4 buildings, so
Yeah.
there's the 4th building is definitely still an influence. But we see that now, it's like we try to get a showing done down there, and it's like people will pull up and see where it actually is, and people who are familiar with that area, and maybe they just don't want to be a part of it. But I do think that we're improving that down there, 100%.
Yes.
So
Well, and that just comes from, yet again, knowing that change is possible, willing slash wanting, you know, because yeah, the easy solution that fills units faster is lower the bar to entry, but it's
yeah,
like we don't want to deal with the headaches that come with lower bars. There's definitely niches, and there's definitely places that can handle that, and they're great at it, and they have the on-site staff that can handle, people fighting in the hallways, whatever. But it's like for us, it's like, no, we want to be predictable. That helps us make better decisions. That takes out the guesswork, because really, if you're guessing, like then you're in trouble.
for me, the biggest one is on the maintenance side is all the fist holes every 3 feet, and all the doors kicked in and all that. That's the biggest one for me on that.
Yeah, no, it you what is it? You get what you attract, or you attract you get what, yeah, something to that effect, where if you're not fixing things right, if you're not trying to keep the outside looking good, the hallways are dirty or smell bad, like there's only certain people who are willing to take that. And I always like the phrase of, I want to rent to people who want to rent from me, not people that have to rent from me.
Yeah, it's what you tolerate, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, all the way through.
Yeah. So the now going back to your point there with the networking thing, it is an operational advantage. Networking for us, I don't think is an optional.
No.
It's it's survival. It's part of it. It's like I love going to you know I love going to meet a new painter. I love going to meet a new HVAC guy. I love meeting the new people now. Um, the caveat to that is if they're brand new into it, there's probably a little operational issues. Not that they don't have a skill set, but there's still some things they're trying to figure out and navigate. So it is nice to have a few different options, right?
Yep.
So that you can build up that network. But yeah, I'm part of BNI's Business Networking International. I pay to be a part of it. I think we have 28 members right now. We actually have a visitor day coming on April 9th, which I think I should try to get our PM to go to that one, because there's 27 visitors.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's going to be like 50 some people in the room. And there's not a property manager in there. So, but yeah, it's basically just trying to look out and pass each other referrals in business. But, when you look at the average person, his network is 200 to 300 people. When you have 27 people in a room that are rooting for you and want you to succeed, and trying to bring you positivity and all the things, now you take that 27 people times 200 to 300.
Yeah. 5,400.
Yeah, so it starts to multiply, right? And then
Yep.
the beauty of it is we get visitors in the room. Like I said, we got a visitor day coming up, but I'm getting introduced. The last meeting, there was a couple cleaners in there. There's a junk removal service that came through. So there's all these things that now I can put into my pocket and pass on to. And it's not that I don't want to be loyal to our current vendors, but I definitely try to grow the network.
People are always changing in and out. I mean, just there's a life cycle to business. There's a life cycle to, a lot of this work we do is physical labor. So like a painter is physically painting, landscapers are working. I mean, if you're resetting doors, patching sheetrock, like there's a time and a place. HVAC, same thing. Like it's, a solo has less overhead, so they can usually be a little more affordable. But then providing 24/7 service just isn't practical. Like
Yeah.
they have a life, they have a family that they want to deal with. But that's why I like those networking groups. Like I'm in Master Networks. It's a different type of networking group with the same goal. We're here to make friendships with or relationships with people we wouldn't normally meet. So like I don't have children yet. I now know 3 different kid therapists that I can call my friends and go have a beer with if I want to. So that's the beauty of those things. But at the same time, we're also learning from them too.
Yep.
So they bring some stuff that's happening in their industry or their business that's like, oh, that actually would affect us too. Whether it's just even regulations on like how a front door should be set up if you have XYZ happening, and kind of these like ADA modulations are like, oh, never thought about that.
Yeah, we have a cybersecurity guy in ours, so he's always talking about, you know, things that you should be watching for in cybersecurity and just the security with AI and all that stuff. But yeah, what you said about the, building the friendship is we now have reliable vendors. We have people that want, faster solutions. They trust us. And sometimes, like let's say we have a cleaner who's super loyal to us and we're a majority, let's just say we're 80% of their revenue coming in. When we ask them to go do something, they're going to lean towards more, appeasing us versus trying to get a new client. And I'm not saying that's the right solution either. You should have leads coming from every direction, but it does build a relationship where we do kind of get this more priority status with some of these vendors.
And one of those things is the expectation from us, like having been a general contractor, being in your boots before with your company, is like you got to pay your people on time. Like that's always been a big thing for me. I used to do this site inspection and I'd write the check right then and there, like, okay, it looks good, let's do that, because I'd watched so many subs get burned. And then I knew of builders and even some property management companies that weren't paying their vendors, and they'd be 3 months out and still not getting paid. It's like, how do you front that? How do you pay your employees unless you have a massive wad of cash sitting there for a rainy day? It's like, that's not how most businesses are set up.
And it's more than those networks. Like, I do Hunter's Ed, once a year. So I'm exposed to 30, 35 new people with that, building those relationships.
Yep.
Chamber EDC.
Going to the dinner.
They have mixers all the time. They have the Bismarck Mandan Home Builders Association. I'm a board of director of that. I'm sure there's some other, even your bowling, even like, it's just getting out and doing those things, being exposed in front of all that stuff. Even look at like, when Carly was in hockey and soccer and Taylor was in dance. And it's like the relationship I built with all the dance dads and the hockey dads and the soccer dads, and all them people know, vendors. So at the end of the day, when something breaks, we're not searching. We're calling someone we trust and they're reliable to us. So I think the network is a huge part of being part of the property management.
Yeah. Even just deal flow, we'll call it, but just we have these connections. So, we got a call a couple Junes ago or May. Hey, our management company is going out of business. Can you take on a couple, like 100 doors by Monday? Sure. Let's figure this out. But why? Because a couple of the owners are on my bowling team.
Yeah.
So that's how we knew them. And it was just being part of the community, having fun, but still just that networking. But there's a lot of our deals are I should say our relationships are bringing the deals to us, because they either are the person or they know someone who's like, hey, this is their 3rd, 4th, 5th property manager, or it's their first time and they want someone who's actually going to spend the time to explain it. So these, the more we're connected with our community, the more and better they know us, more likely they refer us. But then there's a trust level there, and then they bring us like, hey, this person's thinking about selling. I don't want to manage it, but will you manage it if I buy it? And then what's your 2 cents? Like, because then we can go on site and like, ooh, this is a deferred maintenance item that I would budget for or negotiate for, and we can set those real expectations. But then even with our own tenants, we have a referral program. Like, hey, You've obviously qualified. You're renting from us. If you bring a friend, we actually pay you. And it goes both ways. Owners can get paid in our referral system because like produces like, and then same for the tenants. Like, hey, if you have a friend who likes this place or whatever, send them our way and we'll reimburse you because that's saving us marketing time and dollars. But at the same time, we have those connections, so they know what we're going to do. If we were doing terrible property management, then they'd be like, do not rent from them. But every time we get that, hey, I have a friend looking, or I have a family member looking, you got any, 3 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, that trust just helps so much. I mean, if I had to make an equation of it, it's just like literally your relationships is your opportunities.
Yeah.
Like you were saying with the phone numbers, I mean, a room of 20 people and you have 5,000 connections, like, we get into those like chamber, I think the chamber dinner is going to have 800 people. It's like, well, there's a room of 320,000.
Yeah.
So it makes a difference, but really it's just saying like, yeah, you can throw a ton of money on commercials, a ton of money on, flyer, all that stuff to market. But at the end of the day, the best deals are from our community, our relationships with people. So.
Well, I think the referrals 5.7 times more likely to close than I remember what the stat was, but something like that, where it's like when you get a referral from someone, you're going to close it a lot quicker than just cold calling or like them reaching out to you cold, because there's an element of trust there.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, vendor relations are the core of operations. Vendors are everything. And so I am actually working on developing a vendor grading system and kind of a KPI for our vendors so that we can award performance on that, response time, getting your invoice in on time,
correctly labeling the invoice.
Yeah, so there's going to be some KPIs that we can have a little program with that, but not all vendors are equal. Some show up, some don't, some care, some cut corners. But we like to build relationships with the vendors who communicate, show up on time, do quality work, respect the tenants. A good vendor saves money. A bad vendor costs you twice. So, yep. I have an Uncle Phil, or I don't really have an Uncle Phil, but you have this person that can come over and fix something and they're just throwing Band-Aids at it. It's actually going to cost you more money in the end than getting someone who does quality work and respect the tenant, right?
Yep.
You have a shady vendor come over and, it just kind of tarnishes that relationship a little bit. Communication's the big one, obviously. We just need to know within 24 hours, either you accept it or not. If it's an emergency, it's less than that. We need to know within the hour. But yeah, vendors are everything.